Hi everyone, welcome to episode of Root Cultures. In this week's episode, we're going to discuss on how to build a highland setup. So what that means is that those are plants that are found in the cloud mountain or at higher elevation. So what you need to get right is the temperature, because they're usually found at below 25 degrees Celsius and almost a 10 to 15% drop at night. So to build a highland setup using the chest freezer method is pretty simple. And what that needs is a lighting and a thermostat. And so this one did not have a clear see-through cover, so we had swapped it out with an acrylic. The add-on would be a timer and also a temperature monitoring system. And we're using an aquarium LED light because the length, which is 45 cm, fits nicely across the acrylic. And this is the timer. So this is the timer that we use to adjust how often the light turns on and off. So this material we're using here is 8 crates, and what this does is that it helps us to build a base and also the depth, which at a later stage you'll be able to see that there is a shelving that we could add on. So this helps to protect the plant from getting in contact with the metallic plates, which may cause them to burn. So at this step is mainly to trial test all the equipments, and also the most critical step is the lighting and also the thermostat to ensure that it works well. So as this fridge has not been used for a long time, we wanted to run some circulation through it while waiting for the hang-on fan. So the temperature setting was from a 12-hour cycle, 7 AM to 7 PM and 7 PM to 7 AM. And so it was at 26 degrees Celsius and 16 degrees Celsius for the night drop. So here's the shelving, and this shelving is supported by 3 smaller 8 crates and 1 horizontal and 2 vertical, and then you can see that it can take a bit of weight. And so this is the fan that we had gotten. So this was an energy saving aquarium fan, and then you can hear that the fan isn't that noisy. And so with an enclosed environment, it is essentially important to ensure that there's a circulation and no still air is built up inside. So this is the final step where all the hardware are already in place: thermostat, the lightings, the fans, and also the timers. And so we're already adding some plants. So we're using sphagnum moss here, and it helps build up the moisture inside. So with such an enclosed environment, you don't really need to water that often, but what you really need to do is to ensure that the humidity is there. So one way is to grow sphagnum. So how we're going to grow them is over a bed of long fiber sphagnum moss. So this is a dead sphagnum, and then just top dress it across it. So thin layer of dead sphagnum and a thin layer of live moss. And so while preparing the containers and the materials for the sphagnum, we would like to discuss on the downside for using a chest freezer. The chest freezer has a limited amount of space, and so once your space runs out or once your plant starts to flower, that's going to be an issue, or when your plant starts to grow bigger. And another downside is that the chest freezer has the potential to go negative degrees Celsius. So what happens is that the plant can get frozen, and using a thermostat is not that foolproof because sometimes the thermostat has the potential to fail. So that is one of the critical things to take note when using this chest freezer build. And there are other different methods, such as using the pelter, a chiller, or an aircon unit to cool the whole setup. But it depends on what you're looking for, and both have their advantages and also their disadvantages. Once done, it's time to moist the sphagnum and to ensure that there is a layer of water. At any time, the sphagnum should not be allowed to dry out. And then here is where we add all the plants inside. Some ant plants, some ant ferns, Carnivorous and Nepenthes. Do share with us in the comment section below what are some of the downsides that you face when doing up the chest freezer.